Sony's PlayStation 5 showcase event happened the other day, and with it we got a lot of big announcements. Obviously, the main one was the PlayStation 5 launch date and pricing, which is, you've probably seen all online, but one of, I think, the most interesting and awaited ones was that of Hogwarts Legacy. Now, we've known about this game for a bit of a while now. It was leaked, I believe, 2 years ago, originally as Harry Potter Magic Awakened, which I believe is now a card game in China. But now, obviously, it is transformed into what we know as Hogwarts Legacy in the Wizarding World in the late 1800s, where we, as a created character, go through and get to live life as a student of this version of Hogwarts. And with this game's final announcement, we got a list of things that we thought or didn't know confirmed through frequently asked questions, and a list that the team at WB Games had actually released. The biggest talking point of which being that, although it's based on the Wizarding World, J.K. Rowling had no input in this title at all, which, if you're aware of some of her recent comments and a lot of the things she says on Twitter, for some weird reason, makes all the sense in the world, because she's a bit mental, just a little bit, but enough for, obviously, WB Games, Avalanche, and the banner title of Portkey Games, which is what this game is being released under, to want nothing to do with her. Along with the confirmation that J.K. Rowling has not had any involvement with this game, we also got a synopsis on the website, which I'll link in the description, which kind of gives us a little bit about what we can be expecting from Hogwarts Legacy, and it reads as follows. Hogwarts Legacy is an immersive open-world action RPG set in the world first introduced in the Harry Potter books. Now you can take control of the action and be at the center of your own adventure in the Wizarding World. Embark on a journey through familiar and new locations as you explore and discover fantastic beasts, customize your character and craft potions, master spellcasting, upgrade talents, and become the wizard you want to be. Experience Hogwarts in the 1800s. Your character is a student who holds the key to an ancient secret that threatens to tear the Wizarding World apart. You have received a late acceptance letter to the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and soon discover that you are no ordinary student. You possess an unusual ability to perceive and master ancient magic. Only you can decide if you will protect the secret for good of all, or yield to the temptation of more sinister magic. Discover the feeling of living at Hogwarts as you make allies, battle dark wizards, and ultimately decide the fate of the Wizarding World. Your legacy is what you make of it. And that's kind of all we really know about this game, aside from, what people can sort of infer from the trailer, and what platform it's coming to, which is all the major ones, the PlayStation family, the PS4 and the PS5, the Xbox family, and PC, not coming to the Nintendo Switch, because it's a big RPG, of course it's not. But coming out of this, if you go online, you'll see a bit of a shit show kicking up over the fact that J.K. Rowling gets profits from this game, or at least it's assumed that she's going to get royalties because the Wizarding World is her baby, it's her intellectual property, and people are actually calling for this game to be Boycott, which is where my kind of want to talk about this and this video comes from, in that if you don't want to support this because of some of the things that J.K. Rowling has said, then fair enough. She has said some pretty shitty things, in all honesty. She's not the nicest of people. However, calling for this to be Boycott, telling people to not buy this, punishing those who are saying they're going to, is not a good thing. Because the fact of the matter is, whether this game sells well or not, whether it's a darling, whether it does immensely well, becomes the best-selling game of all time, or it flops, that has no effect on her. Whether she even makes money off of this or not, again, we don't entirely know. But if you really think this flopping is going to, stick it to her, it doesn't. All you're going to do is damage and hurt that of the Avalanche development team. Avalanche Studios being the team who are developing this game. Should this game, fail because of a boycott, who do you think the higher-ups at WB Games, at WB generally, Time Warner, who do you think they're going to entirely blame for this game's failure? Do you think they'll blame a woman who had nothing to do with it, or would they blame the development team? Would J.K. Rowling lose out on a raise, or would the development team, people in the development team who ask for raises, would they get them denied? Would people who are set to be in line for promotions, maybe, the lead level designer could be in line for a promotion at Avalanche to become a game designer, or a game director, excuse me, that could be lost out on for him or her. There's all these things that I understand, right? If you don't want to support J.K. Rowling, that's not my argument. But if your sole argument is you don't want to buy this game because it makes J.K. Rowling money, you need to understand that the argument of you don't want to pay her doesn't exactly hold all the weight in the world, simply because she's not the one who gets a negative effect from this. If this flops, oh well. If it sells like hell, she gets a bit of money out of it. Most of the money's going to go back to WB and the development team. And a lot of money for a game like this would probably go back into a sequel. And I, for one, although I don't agree with what J.K. Rowling has said at all in a lot of her statements online, I am going to be buying this game simply to support the developers. Because you can buy this and not support what J.K. Rowling has said. You can buy this simply for that, simply to support the developers. And in this state, this game looks amazing. And I'm not going to let what one woman said make me decide to boycott a game and punish a team of developers who are hard at work, who have been hard at work for years, busting their asses, to give us a quality title. Anyway, again, if you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. If it's to do with J.K. Rowling and what she said, fair enough. Personally, I don't fully see that argument. I think it's a bit of a fallacy, because most of the money would go to WB, to Time Warner, and to Avalanche, and probably into other Portkey games. The kind of banner I guess we're going to be getting Harry Potter games out of nowadays, or Wizarding World games out of nowadays. To each their own. With that being said, this is a bit of a smaller one. Wasn't supposed to be originally a PlayStation Showcase recap. Didn't feel like doing it anymore. Fact of the matter is, I only had 2 or 3 games to really talk about, and it didn't feel fitting for the other games. So this is the only game I really had a bit more to talk about. If you enjoyed this video, do the sharing, liking, subscribing stuff. And I do hope to see you again sometime soon for another video. Thank you very much.